What is up, guys? My name is Robert Donaldson, and today we actually have a little bit of a different style video. It's actually going to be a conference tournament breakdown of the A-Sun. It's that time of year, guys. It's almost March. We're going into tournament action right now in college basketball, and this has been a fun conference to watch all year long. And essentially, what I want to do with these videos, I'm hoping to put out one for every single conference, is just to kind of go through each bracket and talk about potential future bets that are out there and potentially, good value spots to bet on certain teams. We'll talk through it all. And as far as the A-Sun is concerned, last year it was a very fun tournament. It was actually the number 3 and number 4 seeds who made the championship game between Bellarmine and Jacksonville. And also worth noting, all top 4 teams based on seeding made it to the semifinals. So it was pretty chalk all the way up into the semifinals, where the two underdogs actually ended up pulling out wins. And something to note in this conference, if either Queens or Bellarmine wins the conference tourney, the auto bid goes to the team who won the regular season title, which in this case would be Kennesaw State. Man, we saw this exact scenario play out last season, unfortunately, when Bellarmine won the A-Sun championship game and couldn't go dancing because of their transition over to D1 being so recent. And another kind of interesting thing about this conference tournament is that all of the games are actually played on the higher seeds home court. So it's one of the few conferences that still does it, but there is actually still home court advantage at play when you are picking winners in this conference tournament. And that said, as we kind of look at that 9-10 matchup between Queens University and Florida Gulf Coast, obviously Queens has been our darlings this year as far as a betting team to bet on is concerned. And man, I don't see them losing this game either. I think they have the firepower to potentially make a run or at least shake up and make things interesting. So let's take Queens to advance out of that 9-10 spot to play Kennesaw State in the next round. And as we go down to the 7-8 matchup between North Florida and Bellarmine, again, we have another interesting matchup here. Bellarmine has been another good team for us to bet on all season long. And once again, I think we take them here to beat North Florida and pull off a smaller upset to start off this conference tournament. So let's take Bellarmine to advance on to play Liberty in the next round. And now, as we go into the quarterfinals, we have Kennesaw State going up against Queens. And I love Queens, but I have to kind of fade them here. It's just a tough draw. Kennesaw State, I think, is the best team in this conference. That's including Liberty. And unfortunately for Queens, I think that's where their run ends. But I also wouldn't be totally surprised if they do end up sneaking out a win. But I do like Kennesaw State to pull off a win there in advance. And then as we kind of go forward here into the 4-5 matchup between Stetson and Lipscomb, this is another really fun matchup. We just actually saw this matchup play out on in overtime about 2 days ago on Friday, and Stetson lost narrowly to Lipscomb at home. Well, they're going to be at home again. I don't think they dropped 2 home games in a row to Lipscomb, especially the way Lipscomb has kind of laid some eggs on the road this season. So let's take Stetson to advance past Lipscomb in that 4-5 matchup. And then we have Liberty going up against Bellarmine in the quarterfinals. And listen, yeah, Bellarmine, I think, plays a style that is conducive to tournament success. That said, I don't see them winning this outright. I think depending on what the line is, we may bet Bellarmine, but on an outright winner, have to go with Darius McGee, have to go with Liberty, and to advance there. And then as we work down to the 3-6 matchup between Eastern Kentucky and North Alabama, this is a very fun matchup because Eastern Kentucky has struggled on the road this season, but obviously they're going to be at home in this one. I I want to go chalk. I really do, but I'm actually not. I'm going to take North Alabama here to pull the first real upset of this conference tournament and advance to the next round. And so as we kind of have this breaking down in the semifinals, it's kind of where it gets interesting because you'll have almost kind of like how the NFL does it, where the highest seed will play the lowest seed and they'll kind of reseed as they go on. That happens in the semifinals. So instead of Kennesaw State going up against Stetson, we're actually going to have Kennesaw State going up against North Alabama. And in that matchup, I like Kennesaw State to pull an outright winner. Again, we'll have to see what the exact line is as far as our individual betting is concerned, but an outright winner, I do like Kennesaw State to win it there. And then as we work our way down, we're going to have Liberty versus Stetson, and this is actually going to be a fun matchup. I really do think Liberty is on upset alert. I'm not going to get there. I'm not going to get there on just picking an outright winner. Again, we will see what the line is. I wouldn't mind betting Stetson in this game if it's a decent enough line, if we're getting multiple possessions for sure. That said, that's going to leave us with the championship game of Kennesaw State going up against Liberty. And I think everybody is kind of pulling for this to be the championship game, to be honest. We just saw this game play out at Kennesaw State, and the environment was insane. It was such a fun game. Liberty controlled this game for about 30 minutes of game action, and Kennesaw State just made a late run, made it a close game, and then pulled away at the very end. It was a wild atmosphere. I think anybody who watched that game wants to revisit it again. So we have that in the championship game. And with that said, I'm going to go chalk. I'm going to take Kennesaw State at home to pull off the win and win the A-Sun Conference tournament. And that is kind of where my future bets align as well. So if we kind of go up to what I've already placed on the A-Sun Conference tournament, I have, for my first bet, I have 1 unit on Kennesaw State to win the A-Sun Championship at plus 400 odds. Grab that over on FanDuel. I think those are pretty good odds, especially when they are going to get the best road with that reseeding. And I think that Queens is a good matchup for them in their first opening matchup. And then a couple other bets that I do like. I like the fact that in the round two, kind of like we alluded to, Stetson has the ability to beat either Kennesaw State or Liberty. And we are getting a lot of good odds here for Stetson just to make the A-Sun championship game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay a quarter unit, 0.25 units on Stetson to make the A-Sun championship at plus 350 odds. Grab that over on Bovada. And for my last bet in the A-Sun Conference tournament, I'm going to lay another 0.25 units on Stetson just to win the whole A-Sun. I think it's definitely in the cards, and we're getting plus 1,800 odds over at Caesars Sportsbook. So those are my three bets. Those are my futures. That's how I kind of see the bracket playing out. But hey, let me know what you guys are thinking down below. Definitely a fun time to be talking college basketball this time of year. And this is going to be one of the more fun tournaments to watch as far as the conferences go. So with all that being said, I will see you in a future video. Take it easy.